Ladies and gentlemen, coming soon, a podcast you've all been waiting for. The Movie Podcast to end all movie podcasts. A podcast that discusses and critiques the best of the best and the worst of the worst movies playing at a theater near you. With a host whose opinions have been deemed as fact by your favorite fact checkers. And that's a fact. Without further ado, let me introduce you to the movie maestro, the tyrant of theater, the gumshoe of review, the man that makes theater employees and Hollywood execs shiver by his mere presence. Ladies and gentlemen, the judge, the jury, the sultan of cinema, Justin Henson. Welcome to the Movie Wire.
And welcome to this week's edition of The Movie Wire. I'm your host, Justin Henson, and welcome to the show. We have a big show this week with 4 new films to review, with 1 now playing in theaters, 1 available to stream, and 2 to finish off our 2024 films as we get ready for the Oscars next week on March 2nd. This week on the show, they're not keeping you out, they're keeping them in the Apple TV Plus exclusive, The Gorge. The monkey that likes killing our family, it's back and everybody dies, and that's fucked up in The Monkey. And finally, we are there, the last 2 movies to wrap up the Movie Wire's 2024 films right before the Oscars next week. The day Terror went live with 1 Oscar nomination for Best Original Screenplay is September 5th. And lastly, nominated for 2 Academy Awards, including Best Adapted Screenplay and Best Picture of the Year, is Nickel Boys. We've got a lot to cover this week, so let's jump right in. Ready for my verdict? Let's get into it.
Out of the windows to watch a roar and a burst of flame. The Movie Wire Podcast.
There it is.
We need people like me.
The Wire.
And here we go.
2 highly trained operatives become close after being sent to protect opposite sides of a mysterious gorge. When an evil emerges, they must work together to survive what lies within. Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy star in the Apple Plus exclusive, The Gorge.
I have new orders that require me to go dark for at least a year, maybe more. A special assignment in an undisclosed location.
As an elite sniper, are you presently under any private or military contract?
No, there's not a lot of reasons for me right now.
What if I gave you a reason?
There she is. West Tower Observation Post. Your home for the next 365 days. There is no outside communication here.
What's that on the other side?
That is East Tower. Contact with the other side is strictly forbidden.
So what's the mission? To keep people from going in the gorge?
No. You need to stop what's in the gorge from coming out.
What the hell is that?
The gorge is the door to hell. And we're standing guard at the gate.
What's the truth about this place? What's the truth about the gorge?
This place is evil.
Now, besides some good TV shows, Apple Plus has lacked on the amount of films they've released in the last couple of years. At least anything memorable. Go ahead, think of 2. Think of 1. That's what I thought. But now comes one that finally does give us something memorable, at least in the first half of The Gorge. The movie stars Miles Teller as Levi, with no family, no friends, who is hired by Bartholomew, played by Sigourney Weaver, to guard a gorge that is filled with fog and mystery for a total of 1 year. The same said with Drossa, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, who is hired to be stationed at the other side of the gorge. The two build a relationship through writing on paper and showing each other what they wrote looking through gun scopes and binoculars. Now, for a mysterious gorge that home wall-crawling creatures, I found the relationship build between Levi and Drossa much more edge-of-your-seat and mysterious than any CGI creatures that look like me in the morning after a bottle of bourbon the previous night. During each meetup, it holds a simplistic tone as holding up signs to communicate, along with some mysterious danger in the background, and a mysterious agency who we don't know their full intent. The relationship stays a focal point of where our director Scott Derrickson wants to keep our attention, with the mystery always in the back of our minds. This adds to the intrigue of the relationship between these two. We know there's a danger in the background, and it keeps that a little bit of a mystery for some of it. The movie feeds us some danger with these creatures, but at the end of the day, it's never too much. In the first half, we see the danger element, and that works as a background to keep us kind of on our toes, but at the same time, we are paying attention and we are loving the chemistry between Teller and Joy. I found myself smiling as their relationship grew and worried when danger would present itself. But this is short-lived, because as movies go, whenever you have something good going with performances and our characters, filmmakers like to throw in a CGI wrench into the gears to have the rest of the film come toppling down. Right when we're having a good time with our characters, our filmmakers put up the timeout sign and said, nope, there is no such thing as a romantic thriller. You will not be getting that here. Not today. And the film transitions to a movie that loses its charm, it loses its likability, and becomes a completely different movie. A very tame supernatural monster thriller that the CGI and creature designs are so amateurish. We don't get any buy-in or sense of danger once we see our creatures. Scott Derrickson even directs in a way to ensure we don't have any establishing shots to involve the audience. In some scenes, and I will leave the details out to avoid spoilers, we get so many fast-moving up-close shots that we can't even appreciate what we are seeing on screen. And I'm sure this was on purpose from Derrickson to avoid the viewer from staring at the flaws of our CGI creatures. But by doing so, he also avoids any good slow shots to give the viewer a sense of danger. He forgets or doesn't realize the build of chemistry, the build between Teller and Joy. He doesn't lean into this. And for a director that did the fantastic Black Phone from 2021, he should know better. That the build of a character or characters is the most important part of a movie like this. But even more so, what you do with the build to make the rest of the movie engaging for the viewer. How do you keep that build going? You have this fantastic build. What are you going to do with it? And Derrickson says nothing. The Gorge was written by Zach Dean, who wrote The Tomorrow War and Fast 10, where under the right direction, his ideas can be executed, but here it's like he turned in an incomplete screenplay and just told Derrickson, yeah, you know what? Do whatever you want, throw some effects, lots of fog and monsters in it, then let's wrap this shit up. The minute the movie goes away from the chemistry build from our two main characters is where the movie becomes less and less interesting. But the potential we can see after our couple faces danger in a new environment is there. But the sense of wonderment is never truly explored. We have this mysterious world beneath the fog, but it rushes through this for pure forced action scenes. There was a moment where I actually pressed pause on the film and slowly moved the cursor shot by shot to take in the environment. But as I did, I can understand why Derrickson wanted fast-paced sporadic shots, because in actuality, this environment is generic, with no sense of an imagination that the film builds or hints at. The Gorge had great opportunity to build chemistry between two characters that led to the discovery of a world unknown that could have built upon an already well-executed chemistry to introduce the viewer along with these characters we're invested in to a world that is first to see from them and us. and take us along that journey. But instead, it's just a bunch of fast-moving cameras and ignoring the environment that did have potential. And I get it as a director. If you don't have confidence in the way things are working out as you're getting into the movie, you don't like the CGI effects, you think the dialogue is weak in some aspects, but that's when you pivot to what works. This is what studios pay a director for. Spend more time with our characters that are already appealing. You're going to be able to pivot. At some point, he had to realize this CGI sucks, the back half of this movie sucks, but these performances are solid. What do I do next? Don't insult the audience with crap CGI and fast-moving shots, because most viewers are smarter than that. And I can guarantee after about the 5 minutes of this transition from chemistry to attempt at thrills, the viewer is going to pick up their phones and watch cat videos or just roll over and fall asleep. The movie, even though goes for thrills, it fails in the last half, but end in complete, utter boredom. The Gorge is one of Apple TV's Plus more entertaining films that they have released. But that's not saying much, and let me clarify. In the first half of the movie, and I had my hopes up within that first half of the movie, that Apple has finally released something interesting and entertaining without picking the latter. But this all comes crashing down right when we get introduced to CGI effects that are involved. The Gorge could have been something much more with much better direction and some in-the-moment rewrites of the script. The Gorge is a movie that I would recommend just for the relationship between Teller and Joy. The two do mesh extremely well to a likable fashion, where I would recommend just watching the first half twice instead of the second half. I'm giving The Gorge 2.5 stars.
Listen, look, prepare for something never seen before. Come on, this is your chance to do the monkey dance.
When twin brothers Bill and Hal find their father's old monkey toy in the attic, a series of gruesome deaths start. The siblings decide to throw the toy away and move on with their lives, growing apart over the years. In this Stephen King adaptation of The Monkey.
Oh, that's odd. I don't remember locking this.
You wouldn't happen to remember if my aunt had a wind-up toy monkey at the yard sale?
Oh, not a cherished childhood memory now, was it?
No! The coroner said it was an accident, but it was no accident. It was a monkey. When I was a kid, my twin brother and I found something that loved to kill. I did everything I could to make it go the fuck away. But it had other plans. Hello, brother.
Bill.
The monkey that likes killing our family. It's back. It must be vanquished.
Why don't you vanquish it, huh, Bill?
Wait! We have been chosen to witness its power over life and death in its most devious ways.
The toy monkey? It's evil. It's basically the devil.
Everybody dies. And that's life.
Oh, fuck.
With cheesy horror coming to theaters with movies on a normal basis now, especially with low-budget horror, we are starting to see an uptick in movies that give more kills in a more brutal way in numbers to appease the horror fans. We see that prominent that whenever I go to a low-budget movie in theaters, it's more filled than any other movie I go to. The Monkey, we can tell, was meant for low budget, but somebody said, no, this has to be a Stephen King adaptation. This has to go go above that to make it seem like a real Hollywood movie. The feel and the look of the movie, it looks decent, but the kills are over the top, they're unrealistic, and they come in numbers like a machine gun to the point it loses its shock factor. At one point, I just got exhausted and said, I don't care about this anymore. We can tell there is a message that our writer-director Osgood Perkins tries to tell. This is a Stephen King adaptation, but it's lost with a mere focus on spectacle versus adaptation. But I would be lying if I didn't have a good time with it. To make it even better, that I think in theater should really adapt this, I saw this movie during a normal storm here in Seattle, where it must have been fate, because just at the right moment, during a tense moment, the auditorium went black, projector and all, with the exception of the emergency lights. And the person I was with waited for exactly 2 minutes. Then suddenly there was footsteps from the back of the theater. She stood up and said nope, and literally ran for the door. Me, being the gentleman that I am, slowly walked after her, with her nowhere to be found. I asked the usher, how long do they think for the power to be back on? She said the generator should be going up and running in about 10 minutes. So I did what all movie buffs do. Walked back to my seat, pulled out my phone and texted, are you okay? If you are, I'll be in my seat waiting for the movie to start again. I kind of figured she might be concerned about me, so I thought I'd let her know I'm doing okay, but going back to the damn movie during a power outage. Then the movie came back up within just a few minutes. Now, The Monkey is a silly movie. It gives just enough information as necessary to just a mere foundation of setting up gruesome kills with little to no backstory, which we can see as a setup to a sequel, or even more so, a prequel. Even though I had a lot of fun with The Monkey always felt like there was something missing. Everything seemed just mere surface level and teetered around the generic horror movie, with just a better tone. We have this handful of characters that always seem to stay around the surface level, while the story just played and moved around them. The Monkey stars Theo James, who plays Hal and Bill, twins that have two different personalities. One is an alpha and one is a beta. A nice nerdy guy, and then we have a bully, who grow up surrounding this monkey of death. Now, without spoilers, I will just say an event makes them make the decision to throw the monkey down a well, never to be seen again, or so they thought, until the past catches up with them and they are now adults and are now voluntarily separated after 10 years of not seeing each other and after 5 years without talking to one another. And the movie focuses around our nerdy beta Hal, who has to take his son Petey, played by Colin O'Brien, for his 1 week a year custody agreement. This is where it's conveniently set up to have our monkeys return. And as we have Hal and Petey on their road trip to share kind of a moment to show their enjoyment of spending time with one another, which never really gets there. You know, at one point, the Blues Brothers set the record for the most car crashes in a movie, and I'm sure the Monkey will set the record for the most motel visits in a movie, because our Hal and Petey seem to visit a new hotel every 10 to 15 minutes. We have a murder, then we have a hotel, then we have nothing with an investigation or nothing that makes sense of anybody looking into these murders except for one scene. And a lot of these predictable tropes are covered with an attempt to self-realize and be deemed as a comedy. The Monkey has a lot of value to be seen with a bigger crowd and enjoy the comedy and kills. But without a big audience, it just seems like forced horror comedy. We even have a little role with Elijah Wood as Petey's stepfather that wants to gain custody, but it just feels thrown in and does nothing with it. Director of Longlegs, Oz Perkins, tries to blend multiple genres here, but it is so segmented between horror, comedy, and parody that I didn't know what it was trying to do. We never get a proper blend of anything here. One scene we may get a comedy, one scene we may get drama, one scene we may get parody. Perkins never knows how to balance it with tone or even his writing here. It's all so segmented into specifically chosen scenes. It doesn't blend together. It's either comedy, drama, thriller, or parody. There's no rhyme or reason to the organization of this film. But with that said, what Perkins does get right is the unsettling tone, mixed with a comedy of death to give a chuckle before Perkins' main horror event, which is the fear of death, the fear of loss. Perkins gets the idea of Stephen King's novel, but it is something that can't be told in a 90-minute movie. The idea is there, but the execution of countless ideas are vomited on the screen. We have police involvement, we have unresolved family issues, we have a custody battle, we have a father-son conflict, we have a conflict with a killer toy, and a brother conflict, and of course, death. But these are mainly treated as just filler that's never addressed. It's filler between kills. Until the final 10 minutes that actually gives us something to think about, we don't even know where to start. It's a very confused movie. But again, this is a movie with a tone that felt like I was watching Child's Play 2 with a facade of a story, but we are just here to see Chucky kill people in elaborate ways with good production value. The monkey is fun with a crowd, but many will find it subpar without a crowd. At the same time, it's a win and a loss. I'd be lying if I didn't say that the monkey is fucking creepy, but at the same time, we don't get enough of the monkey in this movie. This movie was too short for the ideas it presents. The monkey, I'm sure, opening weekend, many will enjoy as the crowds are there. But as it continues, we will see many less support it. It has many entertaining kills, but it makes you question yourself if that should make a movie, because the film offers really nothing else from that. Take out all this useless crap and just give us over-the-top kills. If that's what audiences want, just give us 90 minutes of that. Have a few drinks, don't care about holes, don't care about story, just be there for the kills and you might enjoy. But for what it is, I can appreciate who the audience it's targeting. I'm giving the monkey 2.5 stars.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
Now, before we get into the rest of the show, make sure to check out my reviews for movies that just became available to rent, buy, or stream now.
Now available on video cassette.
In this house, there is a presence, and this presence took me by surprise in a supernatural movie that's emotional and thought-provoking, that doesn't feel the need to entertain and add in scares, receiving 3.5 stars. You can't break up with your past, and only a couple months in, and this movie made me want to break up with the theater, and is so far the worst movie of the year, and it didn't just hurt, it was excruciating pain. And Love Hurts, which received 1 star. The Ballad of a True Original. He defied everyone to change everything with 8 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture, is a complete unknown that received 3 stars. You'll Need a Pilot in the cliche, recycled, bald-headed thriller Flight Risk, which was a risk to your wallet, so wait for streaming, receiving 1.5 stars. Oh wait, this movie fucking flopped. It is available on streaming already. Part Dog, Part Man, All Hero, and Dog Man that I just fucking reviewed. Maybe we need a hero to at least have family movies in theaters long enough to give a kid an experience. But anyway, Dog Man was hyperactive but landed a great message for kids and adults, receiving 3 stars. Remember Who You Are in this follow-up to the 2019 CGI remake of The Lion King in Mufasa. That was an improvement, but still felt like a lazy storyline, like another Lion King straight-to-video release, receiving 2.5 stars. Find Someone Made Just For You in Companion. That answered all my questions if I should get a sex robot or not. And for that, I thank this movie and give it 3.5 stars. The missing half star is for pure disappointment of not getting a sex robot. Fame makes monkeys out of all of us and Better Man in one of the most engaging and unique music biopics in recent memory, receiving 3.5 stars. When the Moon Is Full, the legend comes to life in Wolfman in a completely neutered remake, receiving 2 stars. Find the Way in Moana 2 that never really did find a way to make a memorable movie, receiving 2 stars. And finally, sex power, awkward looks, and more sex that plays like a sexual fantasy, but in reality made me roll over after I was done and just fall asleep, receiving 2.5 stars. Make sure you check out those reviews of my previous episodes, and while you do, don't forget to hit follow or subscribe, and please don't forget to leave me a review on Apple Podcast or Spotify. Now, before I get into the last set of reviews, there is a podcast that not only is part of my weekly listening routine, but I have also joined them in some fantastic movie discussions. And I'm talking about Josh and Alex over the Talking Smac Podcast. Make sure you check out their show. The link to that show will be in the description of this episode. But let's hear from Josh and Alex now.
Hey Josh, I'm finally ready to do something fun every Wednesday.
Alex, finally! We're going to talk superheroes, movies, animation, comics, and much, much more, right?
Yes, but we're also going to talk Star Trek.
Make it so, my friend. Catch Talking Smac every Wednesday on your podcatcher of choice. We'll see you there, Smackheads.
During the 1972 Summer Olympics in Munich, Germany, an American sports broadcasting team must adapt to live coverage of the Israeli athletes being held hostage by a terrorist group. Nominated for Best Original Screenplay is September 5th.
Ready, camera one. Hit it.
Good morning. I'm Jim McKay speaking to you live from the Olympics in Munich, West Germany.
Talk me through the day.
Starts with volleyball, then there's boxing.
Good. It's America versus Cuba.
Sure you want to bring in the politics?
It's not about politics. It's about emotions.
And we're clear.
Great job, everyone.
Do you hear that?
Were those gunshots?
What's the situation?
The police are reporting that armed terrorists have attacked the Israeli athletes.
There's a hostage situation going on right now in the Olympic Village.
ABC wants news to take over.
Your sports, you're in way over your head.
400 yards away from where this is happening.
We are the only people capable of following it live. This is our story, and we're keeping it.
What do I tell the cameras?
What do you mean?
I mean, can we show someone being shot on live television?
We're on.
The peace of what have been called the Serene Olympics was shattered this morning. The games are still going on. Within a few hundred yards, 9 terrified living human beings are being held prisoner.
You need to understand how sensitive this situation is.
These are just local cops doing things they have never done before.
We'll make it broadcast history. More people have seen this than watch Armstrong land on the moon.
There are police on the roof.
Oh, guys.
That's a TV. Are they seeing what we're seeing?
What are you talking about?
Are the terrorists seeing this?
Our job is to tell the stories of these individuals whose lives are at stake.
It's not okay if we made it worse.
Cameras on! It's a madhouse down here.
They know the whole world is watching. If they shoot someone on live television, whose story is that? Is it ours or is it theirs?
It was an event out of a nightmare for those that gathered around a TV set during the summer of 1972 during the Summer Olympics, where the world gathered around a TV set not to watch some of the world's most top athletes, but to watch terror unfold in Munich, Germany, where Israeli athletes were held hostage at the Olympic Village with an ABC Sports news crew, unprepared for the events, where they had a choice to go out of their comfort zone and cover it, or just leave it alone, with limited cameras with a rooftop camera peering in to see the events unfold. Now, there's a part of this movie that will resonate in my memory, and even though I wasn't born during this time, it gave me perspective of what may have gone on through the viewers' heads. On one screen of a TV news monitor, we see these mass terrorists peer out of windows with guns, and as our director Tim Founbaum panned his camera over to an Olympic event taking place at the same time, on the other monitor, many thoughts went through my head of, did people tune into the news to see the hostage situation, or did they watch the events of the Olympics? I'm sure it's a mixture of both, but it is also a time where violence became prominent over a world event that is supposed to unite the world. This is what makes the 1972 Summer Olympics that much more sad to think about, is that this is a time that evil succeeded over unity. There were no true winners that summer on a moral and emotional level, and our writer-director Tim Feldbaum and our writers Mort Spinder and Alex David set out to prove this from a very strategic and clever screenplay. At its surface, September 5th plays like a dialogue-driven thriller, but at its core is truly about decisions made out of uncertainty and moral guidance. September 5th challenges the viewer to not just look past the main focal point of the hostage situation, but rather still keep that at top of mind, while our filmmakers steer us to question moral intent, decisions that are made out of emotional reaction, and also feel moral pain and disappointment in the world that we live. There is no happy ending to September 5th, nor should there be any attempt to have one. Feldbaum's true mission is to guide the audience into not a thriller of the event from our past, but rather a journey of what would you do, along with getting a look behind the scenes in a news control room when nobody was prepared for what was going to happen. The film stars Peter Skarsgård, who plays Rune Ardledge, the president of ABC Sports, John Magaro as Jeffrey Mason, the head of the control room, and Ben Chaplin as Marvin Batter, head of operations at ABC Sports. This trio of leadership during this event each have different traits to support not the event, but what Feldbaum is trying to tell the viewer. Each one represents either a moral, emotional, or rational decision, and how those traits can collide in unprecedented events. There is not one bad performance here. There's not even an average performance. These are fantastic performances. At one point, the three's chemistry reminded me of 1995's Crimson Tide, with the dynamic of Denzel Washington and Gene Hackman's situational chemistry with smart writing and even better performances. There's an edge to this chemistry that wants us to follow these characters. Here we can feel in dialogue the core of the messaging that the movie wants to take us, but where the real execution comes into play is where we can feel the emotional and moral weight on each of our actors' faces, where we are listening, but we're also reading every cringe of the face, every drop of sweat, to take us deeper into what their words really mean. Tim Feldbaum, who recently did 2021's The Colony, September 5th will be his best film to date. His character direction here is spot on, along with the complete feel of the 70s while being enclosed into one real setting, a small control room. Now, at times the film avoids going too deep into the politics of the situation. In a way, I can respect that to keep with the filmmaker's intent. But there are moments of trying to read our character's intent. This might have helped support the messaging of our filmmakers, going into how the media represented the situation. We do get little moments here and there, but they are brief and quick to ensure our characters get more time to gain an understanding from the audience. We do have news outlets talk about the Jewish community at the Olympics and violence against the Jewish athletes, and how the symbolic nature of this is happening in a time of the event of unity in Germany. But for me, it didn't go far enough, and I think our writers and Feldbaum thought it might take away from what they were trying to do. And I get that, and it's hard for me to push against the intent of the filmmakers just because of my selfish wants. I wanted more of this, and it's kind of a double-edged sword where it does such an effective job on what it's doing that I wanted more in depth. I wanted something more. But holistically, September 5th is a well-rounded character study of a horrible event in 1972, while giving us an edge of your seat dialogue-driven thriller. We have a limited set, we have limited characters, we have just our characters to drive the intrigue and suspense. And this is a hard thing to succeed in without a creative screenplay. And even though with some flaws and some limitations that will be completely be in the taste of storytelling on any individual, it successfully grabs the audience and doesn't let go. And even in the final moments, you don't breathe a sigh of relief, but rather a filmmaker's intent of sorrow for those that want to ensure that unity never happens. I'm giving September 5th 3 stars. Based on the Pulitzer Prize-winning novel by Colson Whitehead, Nickel Boys chronicles the powerful friendship between two young African-American men navigating the harrowing trials of reform school together in Florida in the Academy Award nominee, Nickel Boys.
Long time, long time, long time.
Woo! That's it, Hal. You're doing great.
What happened to that one kid I used to hang with all the time?
You don't remember?
Remember what?
You really don't remember.
I don't know what more you want me to remember.
What are you gonna do? It's now or never.
Hello.
Now, Nickel Boys is an ambitious adaptation of Colton Whitehead's novel. It is truly a hard feat to take on, and to attempt a visually emotional journey that feels balanced between all of our characters without losing the audience in a mere unique perspective storytelling concept. And our director, Emil Ross, though I can appreciate the premise and the idea of how he shoots and tells this story, but that doesn't mean it always works, where we go more for style over substance of our characters. The style in which he tells a story at times can become more of a distraction than end in engagement. In theory, telling the story through the eyes of our characters should tell more of an emotional tale, but in reality, we take away from the emotional reaction, so that makes it hard to tell this story and connect with the audience other than just using subject matter. We don't feel the emotion that we know we should be feeling from this movie. Nickel Boys tells the story through a first-person point of view of our two main characters, but mostly from our Elwood's perspective, played by Ethan Harissa, and eventually gives us a perspective of his friend Turner, played by Brandon Wilson. Elwood's main journey starts when he receives a ride from Rodney, played by Taraja Ramses, and they are pulled over and Rodney is arrested for stealing the car. And Elwood gets wrapped up into this situation and is arrested for being an accomplice. Elwood is then sent to a reform school, the Nickel Academy for Boys. This is where he meets his new friend Turner, and we get a subtly emotional moment from Turner's point of view, who is without any family and is alone on the inside and outside of the academy, which in a way makes Turner's perspective more impactful and emotional than Elwood's at times on what we visually see, because we can see an emotional response from relevant characters, including one of the most memorable scenes of the film, where we have Elwood's grandmother Haiti, played by Anjanou Ellis-Taylor, attempt to go visit Elwood after Elwood gets injured after standing up to a bully, in which Elwood's later message is not standing up to a bully, but rather standing up for justice. Haiti is told that Elwood can't have visitors, and she isn't allowed to visit. This is where Turner runs into Haiti, and Haiti asks Turner to deliver a letter to Elwood. Haiti, we can sense, is deeply troubled and worried about her grandson. But also we have the timidness of Turner, who is, again, without family. The two share a moment of embrace. This is the moment where this scene will grab viewers, and it will grab the attention to want and care about the journey of Elwood and Turner. Now, it was hard to have my mind process what our director, Ramel Ross' style of storytelling was with our boys, but after this scene, it was a wake-up call to viewers to be emotionally invested, not just for the mere subject and message of racism, injustice, and persecution, but on a human level of a human connection. We all know the subject matter that Nickel Boys is trying to portray, and that is already a hard thing at times to watch. But by adding in and showing a human connection of an emotional pain from other characters is what amplifies the viewers to care for the journey. Now, when it comes to Ross's style here, it's a hit or miss, and at times can be confusing on what perspective we are getting and what his intent of a scene is. But where we have these scenes that hold a question mark over them, the subtle brilliance of Ross is that he inserts some memorable scenes to tie everything together. Ross, in his storytelling, asks the viewer for patience while he dissects a vision, and we can tell this was a trial and error shoot. This is a movie during the filmmaking process I can tell must have had countless reshoots, because unlike a straightforward piece of storytelling, Ross has to get the right reactions, the right sounds, the right internal thoughts from Elwood and Turner. That he has to get them just right to do justice to the source material. Out of any movie this year, this has to be one of the more ambitious and challenging films to execute. And even though I want to say this movie deserves an Oscar or was nominated for, I can see the appeal. But if there was an award for most ambitious storytelling, this would win. but the Academy doesn't hand out ambitious awards. Here's the thing. This movie isn't without its flaws. Could I see this movie being executed on a higher level? Maybe. But as I was watching, it was hard for me to point out what would make the story feel more streamlined and less segmented. But again, I'm not a filmmaker, but it also gives me an understanding of challenge with making a movie of this magnitude. In the days of what people think makes a production challenging, it's budget overpaid filmmakers, a consistent set of elaborate set pieces, green screens, elaborate costume. Here, with Nickel Boys, is a production challenge that I can respect on a higher level. How does one tell an emotional tale of injustice, racism, hope, and friendship while only utilizing first-person views? The premise on the surface may seem simple, but in reality, the film relies not on Elwood's or Turner's reactions, but everybody else. When we boil it down, the real flaws of this movie, to me, really come from the editing and segmented editing with hard cuts. This is what really threw me off, because whenever I would see a cutaway, I had to mentally prepare to analyze the screen and process what I'm about to see. But as I was walking out of the theater, my mind was going at hyper speed, putting all the segmented pieces together like a puzzle. And just like the moment you put the last puzzle piece together, you get a great feeling of the work that was just done. Or in this case, the work that you just saw. Nickel Boys is a good film if you have patience and pay attention. This isn't the type of movie you can just walk away for a couple minutes and come back, or you might feel a little lost. The movie is ambitious in its attempt to tell a story, but again, can go against the current of storytelling. In the end, I'm glad I went on this journey with Elwood and Turner. I'm giving Nickel Boys 3 stars. And that's a cut on this week's edition of The Movie Wire. I want to thank you for listening and thank you for your support. You can also show support by following me on Instagram, Blue Sky, X, Thread, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Letterboxd at Movie Wire Show. And please don't forget to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you haven't yet checked out the Cult-Worthy Cinema Podcast and the Movie Wire's crossover show, Back to the Balcony, make sure you do. Again, the link of that show will be in the description of this episode. Until next week, do me a favor. Make sure you stay for after the credits to show the respect to those that put their blood, sweat, and tears into making a feature film and support your local movie theaters.
Thank you for bringing me to the movies.
Let the credits roll. We say farewell. Join us next time. We'll have more tales to tell.